Welcome, folks, to this July 24th weekly webinar, Lunch and Learn, Become Your School's Meal Services Expert. My name is Jake Vanscoy. I'm the lead trainer here at JMC. Got plenty of educational experience. I've been a classroom teacher. I've been an instructional coach, but I have very little lunch experience, which is why I have with me Cheryl David. Cheryl, you want to say hi to folks and let them know who you are?
Hi, everybody. I'm Cheryl Davids. I'm from the north part of Iowa, and I worked with this for 14 years and really enjoyed the program. Right now, I'm sitting at the Dickinson County Fair. My grandsons are participating in something, so I'm sitting out here and with everybody here today.
And we are happy that you're taking your time out of your day to share your wisdom with us. I know you've been working with lunch in JMC for quite a while now, and if anybody has any questions, we'll be leaning on you for those answers. So thank you for joining us all, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, is your plate overloaded with meal service to-dos? There's tracking fees and reduced meals, or free and reduced meals, a la carte purchases, reporting on it all, and the list goes on. You can lean on JMC's lunch module to ease the burden of meal administration. Learn how to use the lunch module to maintain free accounts, prep monthly reports, and handle FRP accounting. We'll also take a look at the lunch module from the student and family point of view, where they can quickly check and take care of meal account balances as well. So today, what we're going to take a look at is setting up JMC's lunch module in the district level. We're going to take a look at using JMC's point of sale portal, setting up family and student lunch accounts, making deposits into those accounts, handling free and reduced lunch and educational benefits forms, and we'll dig into some of those lunch reports there at the end. So if you have any questions as we go through this webinar, please feel free to use that Q&A chat feature right there built into Ring Central. And as we get to the end of each section, we will address any questions as we go. Getting started, we'll start talking about the setup of JMC's lunch module in the district building. So starting with pricing groups. So since this deals with money, we are in the district level. By editing pricing groups in JMC's lunch module, you can easily customize pricing for breakfast, lunch, and a la carte items based on age by grouping grade levels together. Simply select the desired grade level range for a specified pricing group, and students within that range will automatically have the pricing defined for that group applied to them. In JMC Office, we're going to head to Lunch, Data Setup, Edit Pricing Groups. That's Lunch, Data Setup, Edit Pricing Groups. First step is we're going to click the edit link next to a row to change the grade level range for the pricing group. Fun fact, grade 0 subgroups such as KG, KA, KB, KC, and so on are listed separately to allow you to accommodate preschool and kindergarten groups with unique pricing. You'll just notice that each of those groups would need to be included somewhere in that range. Step 2, you'd select the minimum grade level from the From Grade drop-down list to select the lowest age that's part of the pricing group. Step 3, select the maximum grade level from the To Grade drop-down list to establish the highest grade level. So that's your range of students that are included in that pricing group. Step 4, you click the Update link to save your changes and click the Cancel link to discard them. Helpful tip, you can print a list of your pricing groups for future reference. And then fun fact, the Edit Pricing Groups page in JMC Office includes an alert feature that will let you know if there are some grade levels that are not accounted for in your grade range. So pay attention to the red text that's on the top of the screen. If you see that, you'll know that there's a grade level that you would need to still include. So let's take a live look at pricing groups here in JMC. I'm already logged into JMC Office. I'm going to switch the building to the district level. Since we're dealing with money, we want the district to handle all the money stuff. I'm going to head to Lunch, Data Setup, Edit Pricing Groups. Okay, and Now this page is pretty simple, so I think I can take this live look, Cheryl. Click that edit link. You select the from grade and the to grade. So if you have a 7th grade pricing group that's unique, you know, you can choose the grade level there. The one thing that I would point out, and that's what this alert is pointing out, now is the time to be making changes to any of your pricing groups, to your meal names, to any of that stuff. You don't want to do that after the school year has started. So get this set up prior to the start of the school year, and you'll be ready for a smooth year. And any changes that need to be made during the school year, you might want to consult us or reach out to training at JMC-INC so we can give you the lowdown on how that works. So Cheryl, anything to add about pricing groups? Pretty straightforward, I think.
It's really straightforward.
Any questions coming in? I'm not seeing any questions coming in. So I think we'll move on to the next setup step, which is meal and milk prices. In JMC Office, set meal costs for regular or alternative breakfast, lunch, and extras within a specified pricing group, including the full cost, the reduced cost, and free options. Dynamic pricing automatically adjusts the meal costs at the point of sale based on the purchaser's pricing group and lunch status, eliminating the need for manual price lookups and ensuring a faster and more efficient lunch line. Again, in JMC Office, we are going to head to lunch, data setup, edit meal prices. So lunch, data setup, edit meal prices at that district level. Step 1, we're going to select a group from the price groups drop-down list. So these are the pricing groups that you've already established, that you just established in that last step. So you select that pricing group. If you're not seeing that pricing group that you're looking for, again, back up 1 step, go to data setup, edit pricing groups, and add that pricing group to it. Step 2, click the edit link next to a row in the breakfast or lunch box to edit the price of a full cost or reduced cost or free meal or extra milk items. So you see you have those extra milk items, your meal cost, alternative meals, and so forth in both the breakfast and lunch boxes there. Step 4, an optional step, you can enter the contributions from the state or federal government for each meal or meal item in the appropriate fields under the state and federal columns. And Cheryl, to not put you on the spot, when we come back to the live look of this, I'm going to have you explain a little bit about what those federal reimbursement items are, what they actually mean. Helpful tip, by entering the state and federal contributions, the reimbursables report in JMC itemizes the account or the amount owed to your school by the state and federal government, providing a clear overview of financial reimbursements. And we'll get to that report here towards the end. So this is setting the stage for those reports. So step 5, you click the update link to set the meal name and the price, or click cancel to discard your changes, and then repeat steps 1 through 5 for each applicable item for all pricing groups to establish meal prices for your school. Helpful tip, if your school offers an alternative meal option with separate pricing, you can easily edit the alternative breakfast or lunch row in JMC to set regular, free, or reduced cost for those meals. And then step 7, an optional step, you can print click the print button to print a list of your meal costs. So let's take a live look here, and I'll have you talk us through this a little bit. We're going to go to lunch, data setup, edit meal prices here.
Yep. So, yep, you just go into find your grade group and find which it was. You're going to have to do this each time for each grade group. You set your breakfast and your lunch. You just go to the edit. We're not going to touch that one because remember that was our fun fact that it goes with the reports. But we're going under individual, then you put the full price, and then you can put the state and federal in there also if you want to match up when you do your monthly reports to the state and federal. You can do that. Then you would click update to update that price. Or you want to make sure you do this before school starts. And you do the same with breakfast for the reduced and the free. And then you, once you do this, I always printed this out. So I would have a record of it that make sure I had it done correctly for that year. And you do the same thing for your lunch and do that for each grade group.
So correct me if I'm wrong on this here, but the state, to go back to the state and federal contributions here, if the state is contributing, do they contribute a flat dollar amount to
Yeah, this
individual?
in Iowa, it's the state has a smaller amount. Most of the funding is federal. This is just optional. I actually never put this in when I worked for 14 years. I never put that in, but
Sure.
it is there, and it's a great resource to match up.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So just one question. Janine asks, with the meal prices in Minnesota being free again this year, we should put I think this is a question, should we put the price at 0?
Yes.
And then add the state and federal reimbursement?
Yes.
Okay.
That would be all zeros for Minnesota.
So the state and federal would be 0, and then the individual price would be 0?
Just the individual price is 0.
Okay. Would they add anything to the state or federal reimbursement?
If you want to. It's just a double check if you want to add that in there.
Okay.
Not absolutely necessary, but make sure you get your adult price because that would not be covered under your Minnesota.
All right. Thank you very much. All right. So I think if I'm hearing you correctly, for the folks that want a record of what they are receiving from the state or from the federal government as far as aid that goes toward meals, if what you're expecting to get from the state is a dollar for every meal served, or from the federal government $1 for every meal served, then you can run a report at the end of the year that's going to show you the total state contributions, the total federal contributions.
Yeah, that actually probably, I mean, you're going to run it once a month when you send in your report anyway.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. If a student is receiving a second lunch, how do we put that amount into the system? Will that need to be put manually? That's a great question, Karen. So we're going to go over that in the point of sale. We've got a couple different ways to handle that. So you would put the pricing in here for an extra milk. Do we have an extra meal in here? Cheryl, how did you handle the extra meals? Did you make them a la carte, or did you just charge a second meal for a student?
Another way you could do that is because your meal price is subsidized by the state and federal. So the second meal is not subsidized by state and federal. So it's probably going to be a higher amount. So then you could just do a cash meal. That's one way to do it, and you can still charge it.
Okay.
But otherwise, yes, you could add in a second meal there, but it would probably, more than likely, your school would choose to make that a higher amount.
So just to clarify, and we'll get into this when we add a la cartes, you would add a second meal as an a la carte. That's an option. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Yep. And then the other option would be at the point of sale, you could make a cash charge, and then you could determine the amount as at the cash charge. Is that what you're?
Yeah, the cash charge would be a price there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll go through that when we get into editing a la carte prices and things like that. So that's fine. Where can we find the prices for this school year in Minnesota? Maybe one of my friends in Minnesota can answer that in the chat for me. I really have no idea, to be honest. I'm an Iowa guy. I would start with the Department of Ed in Minnesota. Oh, hey, that's fantastic. So Deb posted a link that has the current reimbursable rates. Ashley, can you see that? Can you see that link that Deb posts? I don't know what this looks like on the user end. I should probably jump in as a user sometime. Okay, Ashley can see that. All right. So I'm going to let Deb's question hang out. Ashley, I'm going to say that we answered your questions live, and you can use that link to access the reimbursables. All right. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Or are we ready to move on to a la cartes? Or is this the part that you said jumps around, Cheryl? I wonder if we get into a la cartes now. Yeah, this is what you were talking about earlier, Cheryl. Sideline, this is how the sausage is made in JMC. Sorry, we were talking about reorganizing this presentation, going right into a la cartes after this, but we're now going to jump into JMC's point of sale. So this will help answer one of those questions. After you've established meal prices, JMC's point of sale portal functions as a convenient cash register, allowing food service professionals to efficiently track lunch purchases and expedite the lunch line. By scanning or entering student or adult lunch accounts, users can easily charge meals, extra milks, and a la carte items, while also generating comprehensive reports in JMC Office for accurate meal reporting. The point of sale portal can be found on your school's JMC homepage. Usually what we would advise schools to do, or lunch service professionals, food service professionals to do, is once you click into this portal, bookmark that login on whatever computer you're going to use to charge your student lunches, and you'll have it readily available whenever you jump in. Fun fact, anyone who will be running the JMC point of sale will need to have their own username and password with the make changes access to the web point of sale and file application security. And it doesn't do you a whole lot of good to run through the steps of how to make those changes if you can't make those changes yourself. So what I would recommend to you is find your tech coordinator or whoever in your district is your JMC administrator and ask them to give you web point of sale make changes access. And then they can come in and set you up so that you are able to log into the point of sale. I jumped ahead of myself with my helpful tip. So once you've logged into the point of sale, you will click the begin breakfast or begin lunch button to start processing student and adults through the breakfast or lunch line. Helpful tip, streamline the lunch process by placing a check mark in the auto mode checkbox to enable auto mode for the point of sale. Fun fact, auto mode allows the point of sale user to simply press the enter key to charge the selected student a meal. Step 2, enter the student or adult's name in the or ID number in the find field to begin charging items in the point of sale. Helpful tip, save time at the end of the lunch line by attaching a keypad or scanner to the point of sale computer to let students and adults scan or enter their own IDs as they go through the lunch line. So this is something that we probably talk to new schools about more than we do existing schools, but the scanner is all it is a replacement for your keyboard. You can do this with an external keyboard. You can do this with any external scanner. It's nothing special that you have to buy through JMC. You can get one for $25 on Amazon. And then when your folks come through the lunch line, if they have a barcode, which I'll show you how to quickly and easily print off a barcode or a list of barcodes that reference your student IDs. It's just that that barcode turns into a number, which is, corresponds with the ID. Any way you dice it up, you've got to enter a student ID in here, whether the lunch person's entering it by hand, whether the kiddo or the adult is entering it by hand, or you're using a scanner. Step 3, select the appropriate cash pricing group or press the cash button on the keypad to begin a cash transaction for guests in the point of sale. And I think this is the option that you were talking about, Cheryl, when you were talking about adding a second lunch. Am I correct here?
Correct, because there's a place in here where we're coming up to, we can stop that second lunch. So we're coming up to that.
Awesome. Step 4, click the appropriate item or use the corresponding item number on the keypad to charge meals, a la cartes, and extra milks to the selected account. So all of these buttons up here, you've already configured the pricing for. We haven't gotten into the a la cartes yet, but you've configured the pricing for a breakfast, an extra milk, a breakfast, extra milk, a lunch, all those sorts of things. Once you click that enter button or hit enter on the keypad, that will charge the items, the selected items, to the selected account, and then you would repeat steps 2 through 5 until the serving period has concluded. So let's take a live look at the point of sale portal. Before we go to the point of sale portal, I want to point out just a couple things. Under lunch reports, print barcodes, this is the page that's going to give you barcodes that are the same as your student ID numbers. So you'll notice here, I've got, for all of my students, I've got a number listed right here. And if I go into JMC office, I'm going to go to the view student data page, and let's pull up Paul Freedom over here. You see Paul Freedom has a student ID number of 3807. Looking at my barcode list, I don't know how large it is on your computer here. You can see 3807. So the student ID number that's listed on the student data page corresponds with the number that would be attached to the barcode. And this is also the number that your students would enter at that point of sale, or your front office professional would enter at the point of sale. Question here from Karen: will the student need new student IDs to match the JMC program? So this is actually, a student has 2 IDs. They've got the state ID number, which that's only really important for state reporting. Your students probably won't know that. The JMC generated student ID is what you would use for lunch at the point of sale portal. And you don't have to enter those. You can change them if you need to. And there's a whole process for that. We actually have a webinar coming up in October for how to change and renumber students. But this number is generated when a student's added. Generally, I wouldn't recommend for a food service professional to go in and renumber students, just because we have, some other applications that use those student ID numbers. So, talk to whoever does the enrollment in your school. And, if you have a request for renumbering those, run that through them just to make sure everybody's on the same page with that. So. Getting into the live look of the point of sale. I didn't actually take you to that login page, but or the landing page. But we've got our point of sale icon. It's a little hamburger there. Once you've logged in, click that begin breakfast button. Cheryl, do you use the auto mode?
I love the auto mode.
So explain to folks how that works. Yeah.
It just takes an extra second off. So like our kids use a keypad, put in their number, and all I do is press enter, and it's done. It's there.
So a kid comes in, they enter their number, hit enter, and then you can hit enter on the, and it's done. As soon as they hit enter, it just charged them for a meal. So I just charged a meal. Is that what happened?
It did not. Try, I'm not at it. There you go. Well, sometimes on our demo data, it doesn't work as good, but it really works great, right? When you're in the lunchroom, it should save a step, but.
Awesome. I'm wondering if, since I don't have an external keypad attached, if that might be part of the issue. As well.
So you have to charge 2 meals now, but yeah, I really do like it. It saves a couple seconds.
All right. Anything else on this page that you'd want to go through? I see.
Yeah, if you go where do you see where the delete transaction is? If you go there, so you'll be able to see who's there. If like, oh man, they didn't want that extra, or they don't have, then you can delete that and it'll go italics. So I like that feature. And sometimes if somebody puts the wrong number in and a couple kids go by, I can look and see where I last was, and I can grab those other 2 kids.
So cash transactions. Okay, so this is, you were talking about extra meals with cash transactions earlier.
Right.
So I want to capture that. If you had an extra, let's go to, I'm going to go back into the lunch program, data setup, edit meal prices. There should be, is there a cash?
There, you have to go, it's a different spot. You go a little bit, data setup. There's a cash one, but
Don't have to add a pricing group, do I?
no.
Edit prices. Where's the,
Go into data,
oh, sorry.
up a little higher. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have edit adult cash account, edit student cash account. So if I,
And that is going to more show you what cash has come in for the day. More of a reports there.
okay,
Yeah. So it'll to give you the adult ones there. And then it'll do the student ones too. I don't know if anybody's in our data has done a student one, but that's there.
so if I'm in, let's go back to the point of sale here. All right, so let's say I need we have a student that's charged a lunch or a breakfast. So Amber Lucas, number 78, charge him a breakfast, hit enter. If I wanted to charge Amber Lucas a second breakfast, I would just charge through cash. Is that,
Then if you charge your cash, it won't go through her account. So then you, at that point, you'd want to have it on your a la carte.
okay, gotcha. So it's your extras listed, your extra meals listed as an a la carte.
Sometimes we have had students that said, my mom says I can only do it if I pay cash. Then if they do pay cash, you could do a cash one, and then it will not show up on their family account. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Janine just chimed in. We just scan the student twice if they're having a second lunch, and then it shows them with a second. Most of the time they only get a second entree, so we use the a la carte then.
All right.
So
Go to the top, up to the little hamburger on the top left.
Yeah.
And we're going to preferences. Down here, we can make it so default so that they cannot have a second lunch.
Okay.
Default that.
Yeah.
Or you could take that off, like Janine said, you can take that off if they want a second lunch there.
Gotcha. All right. So
if somebody puts the wrong number in.
Yeah. So check out the preferences there. Yeah, and there's some additional pieces that you might choose to use when using the point of sale portal too. Karen says we have a snack bar with different pricing. Do I have to put every item into the system that we sell?
Yes.
It's going to be, yeah, that's going to be kind of up to your discretion. If you've got, if you charge variable items, or if you charge by the item on your snack bar, then yes, you would put those in as a la cartes, which we're going to go over in just a second. If you have, if you've got several different items that all have the same price, you could just put snack bar item 1 and then the price of snack bar item 1 and snack bar item 2. It's depends on your accounting. How do you want to keep track of your inventory? If you want to use JMC to track sales of each individual item, then you would enter them individually, I think. Cheryl, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, for the kitchen staff, when they have to keep their records, I think that would be helpful to have them individual. That way they can see what they sell the most of. Even they probably know, but that way they have proof of what they sold.
Understood. Yeah. I agree. Any other questions coming in on point of sale?
One thing is the change. You see where it says change date?
Oops, I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. once, well, the kitchen staff would say, hey, Cheryl, so-and-so came for breakfast and the breakfast person had already closed out the computer and done the different job. Can you add a breakfast in for her? So that's where you can change that date and add in a breakfast or a lunch or something like that.
Gotcha. Oh, that's good to know. Oh, quick link that goes to the video. Interesting. I've never noticed that. All right, cool. Any other questions? Not seeing any other questions. So I think we're safe to move on to setting up family and student lunch accounts. So setting up family accounts. And JMC Office simplifies lunch account management by utilizing lunch contacts, but manually setting up lunch contacts for each student can be laborious and time consuming. However, with the convenient feature introduced by JMC, you can easily initialize family lunch contacts by clicking the Create Lunch Contact button. This action will automatically generate a family lunch contact for students who do not have one based on their primary contacts. So for those of you that are uninitiated in JMC, contacts are connected to each student. We've got a number of different contacts, whether they be primary, secondary, emergency, lunch, tuition and fees. You know, there are a number of adults that impact students' lives. We have a whole webinar that talks about contacts in JMC. They're very important, and one of those contacts is a lunch contact. And if you wanted to allow a family member to make payments through the JMC family module, for example, they would need to be connected to that student as a lunch contact. So what we're talking about is a convenient and quick way to associate a lunch contact with a student. So to assign a lunch contact for all of your students at the same time, and most of the time, what I would say is your student's lunch contact is probably the same as your primary contact. There are some instances that that's not the case, but for the 95% of your students that are, we can go in and easily initialize those family lunch contacts under lunch data setup, initialize family lunch accounts. So lunch data setup, initialize family lunch contacts. Click the Create Lunch Contacts button to assign a lunch contact to students who currently do not have one. Step 2, click the OK button to create lunch contacts, or click the Cancel button to return to the previous page. Fun fact, if a student has multiple primary contacts listed, the first primary contact will be assigned as the lunch contact for that student. However, if a student does not have a designated primary contact, no lunch contact will be assigned to the student. So then you can go in and manually enter a lunch contact for that student, or add a lunch contact for the student. Or as your case might be, as the food service professional, you might just alert somebody in the front office that handles enrollment to attach a lunch contact to a student. Fun fact, upon completion, a message will be displayed indicating the number of lunch contacts assigned, along with the names of the contacts assigned to each student. Helpful tip, if you need to review or edit a student's lunch contact individually, you can head to the View Student Data page and perform the steps for attaching a contact to a student. Let's take a live look at setting up family accounts in JMC Office. So I'm going to get out of the point of sale here. I'm going to go back to JMC Office. Level set us by going home, and then I'm going to go to lunch, data setup, initialize family lunch contacts. So lunch, data setup, initialize family lunch contacts. Before I do that, I'm going to jump into the View Student Data page just to show you what's happening here. And hopefully I have a student that matches this description. I think I think everybody has a lunch contact, but if you noticed a student, let's get rid of a lunch contact for a student. There's one that doesn't have. Let's go ahead and change this contact. I'm going to grab a primary contact. So now this student has a primary contact, but she doesn't have a lunch contact. So you notice, like, all right, primary contacts, no lunch contact associated with the student. I could manually create one, but if I've got 50 to 100 kids that don't have a lunch contact, if I go to, and Cheryl, remember the name Julie Freed. We're going to go to lunch data setup, initialize family lunch contacts. I'm going to click this create lunch contact button. It's going to ask, are you sure you want to create lunch contacts for students that do not have one? Yes, I am sure. I click OK, and no new lunch contacts were created. Oh, great. I wonder if Julie Freed was not active. Okay. Typically, what would happen is it would generate a lunch contact for a student. If I don't have a lunch contact, or if this student's lunch contact is different from the one that's listed here, the primary contact is Eric Doyle in this case. The lunch contact is also the same as the primary contact. I could come in here and change that lunch contact to a different person. And then the student's going to have a lunch contact and they're going to have a primary contact as well. Any questions about initializing those lunch contacts or creating a lunch contact for a student?
Oh, I need to jump back. I answered a question and I hit a wrong button and I deleted it and it deleted it. But they were asking if you charge the second lunch for somebody, how will it show up? Because you can't charge the state for, you can't submit that for the second lunch. It will show up in a report. So we can do that later, but I just didn't want to forget.
Okay.
I hit the wrong button.
So the question was, if you added a second meal, does that show up in the reports as one or second? Because I can't charge the state with that.
Correct.
So it's going to show up in the report as the second lunch to let you know that it is a second lunch. And Cheryl, do you want to just guide us to that report so we can answer it right now?
Okay, let's go to lunch. We're down to reports. And down to reimbursables. And then we pick the date range like for the whole, from the first to the now. That's okay. And in here it will have a second. Go down a little farther to breakfast or to lunch.
Okay, I don't think no, let's, hopefully we have some data in there that.
There we go. So you can see, and you can put a program lunch in there too. But it should show up as a second lunch. I don't think we have any in here.
Can we go ahead and just charge a second lunch quick, just so we have?
Yeah, sure. Go in and find one and
create. I'll actually charge a student a lunch and then a second lunch. So Jim Asith, there we go. Okay, so let's charge him a lunch. Okay, so hit enter. So he's been charged a lunch, and now let's charge him again. This counts already. Charge the student second lunch, charge second lunch. Okay. This item's not available for purchase for this account. Oh yes, because I happen to pick a student that I've already set up that cannot have a second lunch.
I think got to see where it said that though.
Yes, yeah, it was handy. We're coming back for this. All right, charge a second lunch. Yes, charge a second lunch. Okay, enter. All right, so now we should have a second lunch created for today. I don't think I ended my.
Yes, it's right there. Yep,
Oh,
yep.
did I miss it?
Yeah. See, it says student second lunch.
Oh, okay. So, yep, right here. So we have the student lunch, the total number, and then this must be the amount of total sale. And then we have the second student lunch amount. All right, perfect. So it does keep it separate. Nice, good to know. Thank you for explaining that, Cheryl. Any other questions about, oh, that was second lunches, but we were getting into family accounts. Does anybody have any questions about associating a lunch account with a student? That initialization process saves users a lot of time. So now getting into family and student lunch accounts in JMC Office, the edit student lunch data and edit family lunch data pages in JMC Office provide comprehensive tools for managing student and family lunch accounts. These pages enable users to track deposits, view transaction records, manage free and reduced lunch statuses, issue refunds, and print notices for low account balances. With convenient features like allowed purchases and the ability to make new free and reduced determinations, these pages simplify lunch account management and provide a centralized hub for all lunch-related tasks. In JMC Office, we're going to head to lunch data, and then we're either going to go to edit family lunch data or edit student lunch data. The steps are going to be virtually identical for either. The one thing that I would add, the one piece of advice I would add, and Cheryl, please correct me if I'm wrong. I'd say 95% of your work is going to be done on the edit family lunch data page. You know, if you're adding money to a student's account, you're going to want to do that from the family end. You know, the exception would be if there's only one student in the family, you can use that edit student lunch account. Or if you have, are there any other reasons that you would use that edit student lunch data page aside from like maybe marking a student with a status, free reduced status?
Not too often. Only if you would have maybe 2 sets of parents and 1 child, but we have workarounds that, I mean, we have an additional feature now that in the last, since I retired, that eliminates that.
So I think we'll talk a little bit about that in the live look.
Thumbs up, yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm going to say most of your work is going to be done in that edit family lunch data page.
Yep.
But either way, the steps are the same. Editing student lunch data in JMC Office, it's the hub for managing lunch account information for individual students. So from this page, users can easily view lunch contacts associated with a selected student. You can set your free or reduced lunch status. You can access transaction records for an individual students, and you can perform actions such as making deposits or issuing refunds, all in that one convenient location. So there are a couple things like allowed purchases. That's something that's on that edit lunch data page edit student lunch data. So just a few items on this page. The deposit button allows you to deposit funds into a student lunch account, and it allows for documenting the record, whether it was cash, check, credit card, payments made to the school that ensures that the funds are available for the student at the point of sale. These buttons are going to be found on either the student or the family. The refunds are utilized to withdraw remaining funds from the student's lunch account. So typically it's when the school at the end of the year returns unused money to the student upon conclusion of their enrollment period. So the way that I like to think about this is you have the balance. If you want to add money to that balance, you make it a deposit. If you want to subtract money from that deposit or from that balance, you make a refund. The allowed purchases tab allows you to restrict any a la carte purchases or extras purchases for a student. You saw that in the live look. Just this last on accident when I tried to add a second lunch for a student, that student was disallowed from having second lunches and a la carte purchases. So at the student end, if your families decide, you know what, we don't want our kid to have extras for whatever reason, you can set that under allowed purchases. You can print transaction records, review and print transaction records, a full list of deposits, purchases, refunds, or changes in free and reduced status from right there. And then you can print notices for a family or a student indicating a low balance to be sent home with that student. Also, for the students, you can make a new free and reduced determination. So we're going to get more into free and reduced statuses and how to apply those changes for pretty much everybody in your school. You're going to want to do that at one time through one of 3 options that we have for changing student lunch statuses. But as happens during the year, sometimes you have a student's lunch status that might change. You can go in and individually designate an individual student with a new designation with just a few clicks. The Edit Family Lunch Data page in JMC Office provides an effective tool for managing student lunch accounts that are connected through common lunch contacts. So if you've got 3 students, 2 students that are connected to a lunch contact, this is where you can edit all of that information in one place. So you can easily review students that are associated with a family lunch account. You can add funds to an entire family to be shared amongst the family. It's accessible for all family members. You can set free and reduced lunch statuses for the entire family and perform other related tasks. So this is similar to what we just talked about. A lot of these buttons are going to be the same. The deposits button does the same thing, adds money. The refund button subtracts money from the family's account. Transactions, you can print that transactions record or review any purchases made or deposits made. You can print off a low balance notice for families. You can make a new free and reduced determination for families. So a lot of the same functionality. It's just when you might want to apply it. So we are under lunch data. Then you can either go to the Edit Student Lunch Data or Edit Family Lunch Data pages. I'm going to start off with the Edit Family Lunch Data page because that's where most of your stuff is going to be done from. I'm going to just grab a contact that has multiple students attached. So right here, I can see I've got 2 students that are attached to this family. I can make a deposit. I can see their current balance is 0. They come in, they make a deposit. All right, great. It's a cash deposit. It's a check deposit. I can enter the check number, enter the deposit amount. Let's go $100. I can add a comment. Click OK. Now it's part of my record. I can print that transaction record as well. I can make a new status change if we have a status change for free and reduced. I'm going to get into that a little bit more later on. I can issue a refund, and you see this balance of 100. I can issue that refund. It was a check refund from the school. We gave you a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 check number, and we refunded $100. I click OK, and it takes the student balance back to 0. Anything to add about the family lunch data page, Cheryl?
Nope, you got it.
Couple questions coming in. So if I put a payment into a student's lunch data, it will not show up in the family lunch data. That is, I believe that's correct, right? That's only funds that are available to that individual student, right?
Hey, go to the student lunch and there is a button or a radio button there. Go to deposit. And you see there's a family account and student account.
Okay. So let's say, all right, let's talk through that one. So let's say if I had a student that was in a family, a split household, let's just say, and their lunch contact was somebody that they were living with, but they had money on their own that they were going to use for maybe a la carte purchases or whatever, and they wanted that money to go into the individual account, not shared amongst the siblings. So you could add that into an individual student account. Let's make a deposit of $10. Okay. So Paul Freed is with Doyle. So I'm going to go to the family lunch. So now let's do this. Let's make it easy for me to see. Okay, 57. I'm going to make a deposit of $57.65. Okay, so now family accounts at 0. So let's go to student account, Paul Freed. We've already made a deposit of $10. Let's make another deposit of $20 into the student account. Okay, so now the current family balance is $20. How'd that happen? So we had current balance of 20. the family, current balance of 20 for current family balance for the student. I don't know, that's something seems funky to me about that. I might have to report that one to our tech, but can individual students carry an individual balance, or is it all a family balance?
The only way I found that is if they do not have lunch contact.
I believe you're right. I'm making a note of this. Okay. I think that is the case, but I think at the very least, that's a little that we should probably address that. So if I make a payment into a student's lunch data, it will not show up in the family lunch data. To answer your question, it will show up in your family lunch data. Apparently, I don't know that it should, but apparently that's the way that it's working for now. I'm going to bring this up to our development team, and we can maybe clarify that within the program. Another question here. We're new users to JMC. I have lunch balances going into this coming school year. Where would I add these amounts? So new lunch balances coming into this school year, where would you add those? You would add those most likely on the edit family lunch data page. So you would handle those as just regular deposits into student accounts. So yeah, $25 that needs to be loaded in, or if this is a carryover from your previous SIS, you would just come in here, you have your printed sheet. I don't know if we migrate that data for new schools or not, but if you don't have it migrated, you can easily come in here, make a deposit. You could enter, I don't know if it'd be a check or a cash deposit, however you want to note it. But then I would throw in a comment, something like carryover. Should probably spell it correctly. From previous year. What I usually would do would be I would copy that, so then I can use it multiple times. So I'd go, there we go. Next person on the list, make a deposit, check deposit of $100. Carry over from previous year. Okay, I guess I didn't select cash. There we go. So yeah, that would be how I would enter those. I would just right arrow to the next contact, and that should do it. Can you use the student lunch data to do that? Yes, you can. I think you're going to want to use the family lunch data though for that. And I think I see what you're getting at. You probably have your balances for 3 different kids. It's all going to go to the same place anyway. So I think it'd probably be more efficient to enter it under the family. Any other questions coming in? Hopefully everybody has had the chance to grab that link from Deb. I am going to answer this question so it no longer appears on my list because it head fakes me every time. Keep thinking there's a question when there's not. So, all right. Disallowing student purchases. Touched on this briefly a second ago. This is done on that student lunch page. So we're under lunch data, edit student lunch data, lunch data, edit student lunch data. We're clicking the allowed purchases tab here. So step 1, you find your student using that find drop-down list. Step 2, click that allowed purchases tab. Step 3, you'd remove the check mark from any check boxes for any items that the family does not want the student to purchase. So we've got these a la carte items in here. You can click that little plus button. I think that's a helpful tip coming up. Yeah, click that little plus button and you can see the individual a la carte items that you would like that are available for purchase. So let's say a student can have extra fruit and veggies, but they can't have cookies. You can get down to that level of delineation as to what students can have and what they can't have. You can enter a point of display message, and this will, or point of sale display message. that will show up on your point of sale. So if a kid gets the point of sale and tries to buy a cookie and they want to know why they can't purchase a cookie, you can let them know, hey, you can have extra fruit and milk, but no sweets per request from your mom and dad, whatever it might be. Then click that save button, and that saves that. So this would be a valid reason for using that edit student lunch data page. You can go to that allowed purchases, then you can make individual decisions on what students can and cannot have. So if we wanted to say, can't have Baby Ruth, can have fruit bar, we could do that. Any questions on allowed purchases? Not seeing any coming in. I think that's pretty straightforward there. Adult accounts. I got to see where a la cartes are. I'm going to stop referencing it. If Cheryl, you've done this presentation several times. You know where the a la cartes are? Is that coming up later on?
I'm not sure where I'm at right now. Sorry.
Okay. I'm just going to look through it here.
We already did that. If
I don't see it, I'm going to go back and talk about adding a la cartes. So I don't know, somehow we missed it from this presentation. So I think I am just going to show you live how to add a la carte prices. So should have covered this a little bit ago. I apologize for that, but this is under lunch data setup. Edit a la carte prices. This kind of follows the same structure that edit meal prices followed. So you just come in here, you select your pricing group, and this is where you can add individual a la carte items. You can come in here, you click edit, you enter the name, you enter the cost. We had this question come up earlier about like, I had individual snack bar items. Should I name them individually? You absolutely can. There's plenty of space on your list to add those. You could group items by like cost, it just totally depends on your accounting. Julie had a question. Can you put notes on allowed purchases screen, but not flag any items? Great question. I believe you can. Let me pop back into data, edit student lunch data. So let's grab a student here. We're going to go to allowed purchases. So nothing's been flagged. This is student save. So if you wanted to post something in here like an allergy, it's definitely available for that as well. So yes, to answer your question, you can. Adult lunch accounts. We get this quite frequently. So I'm going to go through this rather thoroughly. But this is something that especially with new schools, we see quite a bit. Staff members, whether they're teachers in your district or bus drivers or whomever, if they are not a part of your teaching staff, if they're not a part of your front office staff, so they don't have any access to JMC, but you want them to eat, perfectly fine. We empower staff members and other adults in your building to have their own lunch accounts in JMC office, enabling them to purchase breakfast, lunch, and a la carte items and manage their balances independently. You can easily create adult lunch accounts by adding them as new individuals, assigning them to primary contacts, and granting them access to make purchases at the point of sale. In essence, this is exactly the same process as you would use for adding a student to your JMC site. The only difference is when you add them, you're not going to be adding them as a grade level, you're going to be adding them as an adult. So we're going to use the new student wizard, kind of a misnomer because they're not students, but they're new people to your school. You're going to head to edit new student wizard. You select new to district, and then you click the new student button right here. From there, you enter that adult's last name, first name, gender, and then from the grade drop-down list, you're actually going to select adult. So last name, first name, gender, grade, adult. select the appropriate pricing group from that pricing group drop-down list. You can create a pricing group that's separate for adults, or you can include them in an existing pricing group. Step 6, you remove any check marks from the attendance, state reporting, rank, and honor roll checkboxes on the general tab to prevent adults from appearing on any reports in JMC. So this is the big important step for adding adults. So you add your adults just like you would a student. You put them in that adult grade level, and then you want them active because you want them to be able to see information. You want to be able to see their information, the point of sale and whatnot, but you remove every other checkbox that's listed down here. So only the active is the one that shows up. You click the save button, either of the save buttons, top or bottom of the screen, to save that employee's school lunch account. And then you would add that adult as their own primary contact or as their lunch contact. And then your families, or then that adult is going to be able to manage their own lunch. So in this case, let's just say I've got a front office staff member that has 2 kids that go to the school. And the question is, they're already the primary contact for those 2 kids. Absolutely. You would still add them as a student, and you would add them as their own primary contact. So it might show up that they're going to have 3 people listed under their name. So they're going to have their own name under there because they're managing their own lunch account, and they're going to have their 2 kids listed under there because they're managing those 2 lunch accounts as well. Along with that helpful tip, this is also a nice way to get folks included in your messaging. So if you wanted to use that message center, this is kind of a sidebar, but if you wanted to use the message center for sending text messages or emails to your entire staff, you can you could enter staff members as adults, and then you can create an activities group that has your teachers listed in it or your whole staff in it, and then you can send text messages and emails to your staff. So let's take a look at creating an adult lunch account. So I'm going to go to Edit, New Student Wizard. This is a new to district. I'm going to create that new student. I enter a last name. First name, gender, grade, we're going to choose adult. And then we are going to uncheck each of these checkboxes here. So they're not included in attendance, state reporting, rank, honor roll. They're only active. I click save, and they are added to my system. The next thing that I would do is add their lunch contact or add a primary contact. So see, there's no primary contact. I'm going to change this lunch contact. And you know what? I don't think Joe Hintz is in here. So I'm just going to look. Nope, he's not. So what I can easily do is add a new contact. First name Joe, last name Hintz. Yeah, I could add all that information in there, city, state, name. They'd probably want a username and password so they can access their lunch account through JMC Family. Save. And now I've got my primary contact associated with my adult. Any questions coming in about creating an adult lunch account?
Do you have one more step yet, right?
What did I miss?
They have to have a lunch contact yet.
Oh, okay. So we can go ahead and create a lunch contact here.
That way they can get lunch notices also.
Gotcha. So primary contact's not good enough. We need a lunch contact as well. Thank you for that. Any other questions here?
Not right now.
All right, cool. So making deposits to account or making deposits into accounts, in school deposits, this is, somebody shows up with money, drops off a check, drops off cash. Now what do I do with it? How do I get this cash transaction into JMC? No problem. We're going to head to lunch data, edit family lunch data, find that family. Using the find field there, step 2, we're going to click that deposit button. We talked about this earlier here, but just to run through this quickly, I think I already live looked this, but click that deposit button. Fun fact, the deposit button is located on the transactions tab on the edit student lunch data page or below the contact name on the edit family lunch data page. So it's roughly the same spot. Decide whether it's a cash or check payment. Step 4, optional, enter the check number if it is a check payment. Helpful tip, select the family account ready button to make a deposit into a family lunch account directly from the edit student lunch data page. Something that we need to look into. We talked about that earlier. Step 5, you enter that deposit date field or simply click the calendar icon. It's going to default to the current date, but if there's a deposit that's going to happen in the future or the past, you can change that date if you needed to. Enter a number without the $ in that deposit amount field right there. Enter any comments that you'd like associated with that deposit and click the OK button to finalize your deposit. So I'm not going to live look this because we already live looked this once, but that's how you would handle an in-school deposit. You can also handle if your school uses online payments, you can also add deposit that came via a credit card in person too. I will show you that real quick. It's under lunch data, edit family lunch data. You can make a JMC online deposit using a credit card or a bank account. So if somebody comes in, they want to make a payment with a card, as long as you have online payments in JMC, you can enter their credit card information and then submit that deposit directly from the edit family lunch data page with that button. So anything else to add, Cheryl?
No, we do have a quick question here though. I enter kitchen staff, the lunch contact of the school lunch. Then if I accidentally charge the adult lunch rather than a program lunch, it won't show up on their family account and it's easily deleted, changed.
Okay, so like a little fun fact there from Deb. Deb, have you been doing this for a while, or are you like a 6-month JMC user? Because this is going to hinge upon whether or not folks should follow your advice, just so you know. Only 13 years for Deb. All right, so Deb's been doing this a while, and she says that she enters kitchen staff with the lunch contact of the school district. So she creates a lunch contact with the school district, and then if she accidentally charges an adult lunch rather than a program lunch for a student, so if you've got kitchen staff that have kids that go to school, I'm sure, then it won't show up on that family account, and then that you can easily delete it or take care of it or change it that way. Just a little unraveling that doesn't need to happen. So I appreciate that helpful tip there, Deb. That's awesome.
Let's get Deb online here.
I was just thinking that. I was like, all right, Deb, we're going to file you as a potential resource for later that we can use. So that's great. Any other questions or helpful tidbits that anybody has to offer? Otherwise, let's get into making deposits in JMC Family. So this is available if your school uses online payments. Online payments is an option that is available for every school. However, it does cost extra. I'm going to point this out because if you're interested in this, it's really kind of a slick thing. And I think you'd find that it would probably pay for itself because it's fairly reasonable. I'm going to go to our training channel here, and then I'm going to search for getting started with online payments. So maybe it's this one right here, online payments with Nelnet payment services. So We partner actually with a third-party vendor, a bank. Like obviously JMC is not a bank. We don't handle money, but we partner with Nelnet Payment Services, and what they do is they act as the bank to facilitate the money changing accounts from the family account to your school's account. So they handle the money. We handle the technological interface that your families would use to make those payments. So if this is something that you are interested in, check out this video, Online Payments with Nelnet Payment Services. You're going to get a sneak peek at what this looks like in JMC. And it's pretty quick and painless to turn on for your school. It's something that if you decided like, hey, we want to do this, we could definitely have it up and running probably within the next week or two. There's some paperwork that you would have to fill out. You'd have to submit that to Nelnet. Nelnet will give you approval, and then they'll give us the nod that, yep, they've been approved. We've got all the necessary information, and we'll get it turned on for you. So in the JMC Family Portal, you can easily review your lunch account balances. You can make secure online deposits, enter your bank account information or credit card details, and you can conveniently submit payments through the portal. Nelnet Payment Services will process those payments for you, and once processed, the funds will be available for your children to use when purchasing lunch at school. I use this all the time for my kiddos. I use the app probably more frequently than I use the desktop version, which we're going to talk about in just a minute. But if you have online payments for your school, you can use those online payments through either our app or through the desktop version. So in JMC Family, I'm going to head to lunch, and then I'm going to click that JMC online deposit family account button to begin making a deposit into our family's lunch account. From there, I just enter the dollar amount in the deposit field. And then it's super handy to save this account at the end. So you enter your account information once, you save that account to your profile, and then the next time you come back, it's already saved. Super easy to make a payment again. I'm also going to show you in the live look how to set up auto payments, which if you're tired of pestering folks about getting money into your schools or your kids' lunch accounts, you can encourage them to set up auto payments that will automatically pull out a dollar amount once your kid's account reaches zero, or you can set it up for a certain date so that every month on the first of the month we're making $100 deposit into your lunch account or whatever it needs to be. I'll show that during the live look here. So you'd enter your information, your credit card information, all that sort of stuff. You can choose a bank account. For bank account payments, they'd enter the account number, routing number, and account type. Again, click that save to my account, put a check mark in that checkbox there, and click that submit button to submit payments. As I mentioned, you can use that manage payment methods, quick link on the right-hand side to view and edit your saved payments and methods there. And right below that, we've got managing recurring payments, which I'm going to show in the live look. Recurring payments are those auto payments that could be made available to your families. So let's take a live look at deposits in JMC Family. It's probably going to log me out. I better log out. It's timed me out, I'm sure. I'll log into JMC Family. I'm going to head to lunch. And here's my online deposit. I click that, make an online deposit. And you see I've already saved an account. So I can just grab that account that I've already saved. And that's how easy it is. Otherwise, I'd have to add a new account. And I just enter my information. I can enter it once. But I prefer that saved account because it saves so much time. I submit that. Submitting my charge. Yes. And boom, I've made a payment. I've got my receipt. That's literally how fast it is. The managing recurring payments is even faster because once this is enabled, then your families can set up, all right, when a balance falls below $5, I want to deposit $100 using this payment method. And then your families never have to actually go to the steps of submitting that payment. It just happens automatically. That's such a huge time saver. And when I tell front offices about this, they rejoice, because you're collecting this money, and what used to be a chore, you used to have to send out low balance notices, you used to have to beg people to submit that payment, and most of the time that check would either sit in a kid's backpack for 2 weeks before they'd make that deposit, or if it's my house, it sits on the counter right by the front door, and eventually somebody will grab it and take it to school if they remember. But this eliminates all of that. And if you're interested, I'm going to point you back to the YouTube channel, and I'm going to say auto payments, because I think we have a webinar on this, managing recurring payments in JMC Family. Check this out. This shows you on the office end how to turn it on, and it shows your families how to set up auto payments on their end. So if you turn this on, you want to send this video to your families to show them how to set up recurring payments. It's a great tool to have. Anything to add about making payments from JMC Family, Cheryl?
Nope, I think you covered it all.
Covering the same thing essentially from the family app. So we do have a family app. It's available for free on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store, the Apple Store. With the family app, you can effortlessly manage and make deposits into student family lunch accounts, ensuring your kids always have funds for meals. You can access the app's menu to navigate to the meal balance section, select the desired meal account, choose a payment method, enter the deposit amount, provide payment details, and submit your payment for a seamless and convenient experience. What usually happens in my house is I'll get a text from my son that'll say, "Can you put money in my account?" And I will say, "Sure." And then within the 5 minutes it takes me to find the app and submit the payment, usually he's at the end of the lunch line, so he can make his purchases there. So those of you that have not seen the family app, this is what it looks like. In the upper left-hand corner, you get this little hamburger icon. You click that to access the menu tree. So what the menu tree looks like, you'd find meal balances. There's a lot that you can do on that family app as well. You can, for example, you can see your student's schedule, you can see their grading information, all that fun stuff. But I'm going to select meal account, click that deposit button in the bottom right-hand corner there, and then enter my information. Again, I can save my account information for future use, which is super handy. It takes me all of 2 seconds to make a deposit. Click that submit button. Here's just entering the deposit information, the amount, the card that you're going to use, and then click that submit button to process your payment. So any questions on that? Should mention with online payments, there's a fee it's a convenience fee that Nelnet Payment Services charges. You can decide if you want to pick up that fee, if your school or organization wants to pick up that fee, or if you want to turn it back and charge it to your parents. I think it's pretty standard at this point. If you're making a card payment, there is a convenience fee attached to it. Not seeing any questions. So let's get into the heavier portion of this, the free and reduced lunch forms. Accepting and processing free and reduced meal benefits application right inside of JMC Office is super simple. Perform all your required tasks, from collecting the forms to determining eligibility for lunch status to sending the notification letters, in just a few minutes. The lunch status is used at the lunch line point of sale to automatically charge students the correct meal price for accurate state reporting. So there are 3 ways in JMC to accept free and reduced information into JMC Office. You can process paper applications in JMC. So this, if you have your paper applications, a family walks in and says, "Hey, I want to submit this for free and reduced." You'd have to take that paper form, You'd have to punch that into JMC and we would help you determine whether or not they're eligible for free or reduced meals. The second, and probably the second easiest way, the preferred way, would be accepting an online application submitted through JMC Family. And this would be part of the back to school registration process. So if your school is not utilizing back to school registration or hasn't done back to school registration, first off, I would highly encourage you to look into it. Second off, if you only wanted to use it for this function, you could absolutely do that. And I'm going to show you how to do that in this section as well. And the third way would be through a direct certification file import. So you download an import file and then you'd import it into JMC. And these are folks that might be involved in a state program that automatically qualifies them for free and reduced lunch. Those are the three ways for accepting educational benefits. It's up to you is to use either a combination or one or all of these methods for getting that free and reduced status or changing your students' free and reduced status. And we'll start with paper applications. So this is, like I mentioned earlier, if you need to make the determination for a student or family that has walked into your school and has said, hey, I need to apply for educational benefits, for free and reduced meals. How do I do that? Well, as long as you can get that information, you don't have to do the calculation. JMC will do the calculation for you. But you're going to head to, in the lunch module, you're going to go to free and reduced, determine free or reduced status. So there's some information that you're going to need from your families. We do this for a 2-earner household. So step one, you would enter the household size in that household size field right there. How many people are in your house? Step two, you'd enter the income amount in the appropriate income amount fields for up to 2 earners to have them added up for qualifications requirements. So based on when they get paid, do they get paid weekly? Do they get paid every 2 weeks, twice a month, yearly, whatever it might be? For earner 1, earner 2, you'd enter, you probably wouldn't enter all of that information. It would just be like, all right, they get paid $150 every week, or they get paid $400 every 2 weeks, or they get paid $500 twice a month. So not every one of these fields is going to have a number filled into it. It's just depending on how often they get paid and how much they get paid. Step 3, you click that calculate button to determine if the household will receive free meals, reduced price meals, or if they are not eligible for meal benefits. So it's really as simple as that. You enter the income level, you click calculate, and it's going to let you know if the family is eligible for free or reduced meals. It's also going to supply you the cutoff right there, indicating in real time whether the applicant qualifies for free and reduced benefits. Step 4, you'd select the family that you're talking to right there from that list. And then the dependents for that family will be listed right here in that student list. So these would be the students that would be affected by any status change. Step 5, you'd enter the date of the status change in the effective date field. So that's when you'd want that date to take hold. Helpful tip, using an effective date in the past will update transactions and balances to the newly determined status when the process is completed. So you don't need to worry about going back and changing past transactions to reflect the new status. So if, for example, you're in the 3rd week of school, somebody submits you got a brand new student, they submit a application to you. This has been their status for all year, but they've already made 3 weeks worth of payments. You can go back in time and set that status effective date for the first day of school, and it will automatically adjust those payments. Step 6, you enter the date the determination was made in the determination made date field, or simply click the calendar icon to select a date using the calendar view. Step 7, you click the make dependents free, reduced, or paying button to apply the determination results to the selected dependents in the students list. So you can make all of the dependents free or reduced or paid, clicking that button. And that will create the record for those dependents. So are you sure you want to update the student status? Click OK. Yes, I am sure. And then from there, you can print that letter, that eligibility letter, using that print letter button. And then you click that reset button to create a new determination. So let's take a live look at processing paper applications. We call it processing paper applications because, you know, you might do this in person. You might have a paper pencil form that you have folks fill out, and then somebody from your office would have to come back and do this at a later date. So we're going to go to lunch, free and reduced, determine free or reduced status, enter the household size, and then, you know, all right, so earner one, mom gets paid every 2 weeks. She gets $1,000 every 2 weeks. Earner two gets paid weekly, you know, $400 every week. Household size of 4. We calculate, and this individual is eligible for reduced meal prices. Okay, so now we just figure out, all right, who am I talking to? What individual is this? I can grab it, make the dependents free, set the status effective date, print the letter, all that fun stuff. I see a question coming in. In Iowa, if they qualified for the last school year, but not this year, we are required to serve them until October. Will this cover that? So, Karen, great question. This is actually where you would use it's a different function in JMC. It's actually, let's go. Oh, where is that? That pulls over status. It's under free and reduced. It is.
The update status from previous year.
Yeah, updates that. Where is that? All right. Might be under data, actually. Nope. I would think it would be.
I'll look on my end too.
Oh, meals application stat? No, that's not it either. Not direct certification import. There it is. Okay. It's under lunch data setup, import free and reduced status from prior year. Okay. So under lunch, to answer your question, you've got that change that you know, maybe a family was free or reduced 23-24 school year to end that 23-24 school year, but they're eligible to pay starting this school year. So, you know, they have that 30 days, and we've got a report, and Cheryl, you might have to direct me to this report, but what you're going to need to see after that 30 days is up are which students are no longer eligible for receiving those free and reduced benefits from last year. So if you use that import free reduced status from the prior year, that's going to make sure that everybody is good for the previous year up until August, or, you know, October 1st or whatever the 30th day is. And then we need to go run a report. So this is the benefits issuance list. Is that the report that we're going to run? Might have thrown Cheryl.
Sorry about that. I just had kids come back with a trophy.
Oh, nice.
Sorry. Yeah, we want, yeah. Or we can go lunch status. Either one will show you.
Okay, so the lunch status report, I'm just trying to think of the easiest one. What's this going to show us? Okay, yeah. So yeah, this is going to give you the list in the description of those folks that were approved for free from last year. So then on the 30th, you know, you enter your 30th date, you know, October 1st or whatever, your 30 days after the start of the year. And then you can see those students that were approved for free from last year, and then you can change their status to paying. So the combination of ways that we handle that, the import balances from prior, or not import balances, import status from prior year, and then the lunch status report. So,
I'm wondering, I've never done this, but when you do that determination date, you can put could we put the effective date as October 1 if they were denied for this year?
yeah, I don't see why that wouldn't work.
And then it would automatically go change.
Yeah, so if we had, yeah, so like, let me. Okay, so this person's not eligible for free or reduced. We grab the kid or grab the family, they were determined for free last year, but we want this paying status effective for the future, October 1st, for example. I don't see why that wouldn't work. Make dependents paying as of this date. So I think you're right on that. Sure want to make, yes. Okay.
Yeah, I've never done it, but I'm just wondering if it might work.
Yeah, I don't see why it would. So a couple questions here. Deb asked, any chance that in addition to the print letter button, we could have an email letter button in the future? That would be handy. And I'm going to jot that down as a feature request here. I know we do email statuses out, especially if they apply online. So the missing application check under reports as well. That's the one that I was looking for, Deb, actually. Yeah, that's a good call. So this is under lunch reports, missing application check. There it is. Okay. So this is where you can easily change those, the status to paying. So here you get all your kids that you've imported from the previous year, and then you can select the students, and then you can change their status to paying after that. So that would be the quickest way to do it. So great call on that, Deb. I am writing Deb's name down. That's it. You've had 2 contributions here, Deb. So you're probably going to be getting a phone call. I'm going to come work for JMC, Deb. I don't know. Let's see here. All right. So we're going to go to the help widget here, because there is a great article about this. It's missing applications check. Yeah, using the missing applications check report. So this explains in detail that 30-day period, so carrying over lunch benefits from the previous year. And then on that 30th day of school, this is where you would go in and change that effective date using the missing application check report. So head to our widget, head to our help center, check out that article that walks you through the process. So. All right, so Julie, is this information kept up to date automatically, or do we need to connect to a state site? So Julie, great question. This information's updated in JMC. So if you're worried about the configuration of that lunch determination page, we configure that on our end. So there is nothing that you have to enter for that. Once the state certifies, you're good. Bill is in the mail. All right. Deb, if you show up to a summer conference at some time, you got a beer on me for sure. Or whatever it is that you drink, iced tea, whatever. So processing online forms. So now that's what I would say the slow way of determining an application's online, or I'm sorry, in person. Somebody hands you the form, you make the determination right there. Doesn't take you all that long. But the processing online forms, this is even faster. So all you really have to do for this is review and approve online free and reduced meals applications in JMC office automatically updating the lunch benefit status for all students in the family, and then send those notification letters, and it streamlines that process and ensures efficient management of applications, eligibility, and benefits. So this is when folks have submitted an application online as a part of the online registration process. In JMC office, we're going to head to lunch, free and reduced, lunch, free and reduced, meals application status. And then we will select, you'll have a list of pending applications. You'll select the person that, or the family that submitted the application. You'll review their info. It's going to let you know right here based on what the information that they've given us. They're not eligible, they are eligible, whatever the case may be. From there, you can view the full application. You can print the full application. Helpful tip, the free and reduced meal applications will appear at the bottom of that page for quick reference. Click that print button to print that application. Click the hide button to hide the application. Step 5, you'd enter a date of the status effective date in the status effective date field, or simply click the calendar icon. And then, fun fact, no need to update prior changes. All balances and transactions, or prior charges, all balances and transactions dated after the status effective date will reflect the new free or reduced status. So similar to what we just did, the biggest difference is you're not entering any of the payment information yourself. The families have entered that payment information. You're just looking at it and you're making that determination. So step 6, enter that determination date. Step 7, click the accept application button to apply the determination result to the selected students in that dependents list. Step 8, you place a check mark in the breakfast and or lunch check boxes to include the appropriate prices of those meals for the contact on the notification letter. So you can choose the prices that you want to send out, and then this is where it's going to print that letter. So helpful tip, once an application is accepted, it will move from the pending box to the processed box, where it can also be selected and viewed. Step 9, you'd enter the appropriate information, the hearing official, phone number, address, city, state, zip code, the eligibility official information, all that information that will appear on that letter. And then step 11, the optional step, place a check mark in the adjusted for windowed envelope checkbox to include a mailing address on the printed letter. If you're using windowed envelopes, click the view notification letter button to download a PDF file of the eligibility letter that's currently displayed. And then you can print that off and send out those eligibility letters. So fun fact, up-to-date non-discrimination statements will be automatically displayed at the bottom of all notification letters to comply with the requirements for your state. So you don't need to update that letter yourself. You can click the delete application button to permanently remove an application from JMC office and JMC family if there is any reason that the application would not need to be resubmitted. So you can come in here and also delete an application. So let's take a live look at processing online forms. So once again, these have been submitted in JMC family. If you're interested in that process, I would point you to our back to school registration. So we have the processing, we have all about the back to school online registration process is the one where it shows how to set this up, but this is kind of on the back end of that. So after families have already submitted applications, we're going to go to lunch. I lost my pathway. Yeah, there we go. Lunch, free and reduced, meals application status there. So select, view the application. This is what they had submitted to me. Okay, I can make the determination. I can see that this person's eligible for free meals. I can accept that application. Yep, do I want to update the dependent status? Yes, I do. Okay, students have been updated. All right, great. It moves it to the process list. I can view a notification letter here, and it's just going to turn it into a PDF. And all of the information that we're talking about is going to be listed here. So it's letting the applicant know, and it's giving me the address of the applicant. It's letting them know that it's been approved for free. And then that whole non-discrimination policy is going to be printed at the bottom of that letter as well. So your eligibility official information is listed. That all complies with all laws that go into this. You know, you have to have a hearing official. You have to have the person that's making the determination. You know, their information has to be listed. So you've got your hearing official, that's the person making the determination. The eligibility official, if there's going to be an appeal or anything like that, you'd have to list that as well. So you enter that into JMC, you process their submission and print the letter. Simple, Simon. Any questions coming through? I noticed some questions.
Yep. One was there, but you're coming to it right next. Direct certification.
Oh, okay, perfect. All right, so direct certification files. Streamline your workflow and reduce manual entry by utilizing JMC's direct certification import feature. Simply download the direct certification file from the state, upload it to JMC, and automatically import data for families receiving state-sponsored services like Medicaid, potentially qualifying them for free or reduced meals. So this is, you know, you've got the state has supplied you with a list of folks that are eligible automatically for receiving federal benefits, educational benefits. You need to get that file, and there's instructions listed right on this page. So what I always direct folks to, so you're under lunch, free reduced, direct certification import. Read this page here. It has all of the information that you need to get that file. So depending on your state, you know, you might, if you're in Iowa, you go to portal.ed.iowa.gov. If you're in Minnesota, you're going to go someplace else. But that's listed right there on your site. So you follow those steps, you download the direct certification file, and now you need to import it into your site. So once you've downloaded that file, step one, you select the appropriate radio button to indicate the type of direct certification file you downloaded from the state website, if this is applicable. Helpful tip, refer to the state-specific instructions on the page to learn how to obtain that direct certification file. Like I was just saying there. Step two, you'd enter a date in the status effective date field right down here. So that's going to function the same way that we've been talking about status effective dates up to this point. Step three, click the choose file button to browse and select the direct certification file that you downloaded from your state department. So it's on your computer someplace. After you download it from the state, you're going to grab that file and import it into JMC. So step four, you click that start import button, and that's going to import that free and reduced information from the selected state file to JMC. Fun fact, a summary including details and status information regarding the import will appear upon completion of the process, informing you of the families and students that have a direct free or reduced meals certification. So let's take a live look at importing a direct certification file. I do not have a direct certification file available, but I can show you where to go. So this is under lunch, free and reduced direct certification import. As I mentioned, all of the steps are listed right on that page there. You know, so you log into the Iowa site. It's going to tell you exactly how to get your direct certification file. Once you've downloaded it, there's some more steps. So follow those steps depending on what state you're in. Choose the file that you've downloaded, enter a status effective date, and then grab the file from your computer. So you click that choose file button, it's going to open up a browser window. You just need to figure out where you saved it to your computer. Once you figure out where you've saved it, you choose that file and then you start the import. And that's going to set your statuses for those students that directly qualify.
Hey, Jay, Karen is still questioning. So she bought eLookup. So yeah, you just have to do those steps 4 times for each one you would go to. If you found out you did have students in your eLookup, then you would save that file and find it also there. And you would import that, make sure you save it where you can find it, put the date in and find that file, and then those students will show up in their start import.
Yeah, so if I'm following the steps here, this is just for Iowa. So under ed info.
You won't be able to get in there because you have to have the account, I think.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
Yeah. But
Right.
just on the radio button where it, instead of direct in the last submission, go down to eLookup students right there. And then when you download those from the state site, they will show up under eLookup. Does that answer your question, Karen?
Yes. Got it. Does. Thank you. All right. Any other questions on direct certification files? All right, so running reports, I know we're almost to our 2-hour mark for this webinar, which, we wanted this to be a comprehensive resource that anybody that's doing food service in a school can reference. We know that, especially with the free and reduced status, that stuff takes a little bit of time and understanding. So we wanted to go over it thoroughly. I'm probably going to be less thorough with the reports because I think we've talked about several of them as we've gone along in this thing. But most importantly, I think understand that the reports are there and they're designed to help you in whatever situation they might need to be applied. Showing you these reports in JMC are probably not going to be beneficial from our demo data. But once you get into the school year, I would advise you to look into the reports. I think most of them are pretty self-explanatory. Once you've got some live data in there, I think these will make a lot of sense. So I'm just going to high level these. And then I think Cheryl, maybe if you want to talk about a few of them, just, pause me as I go over some of these slides and we'll just talk about some of the reports that are available. So all of these reports live under the lunch reports section. You've got the meals served report, which, this is how much the kids are eating, whether we're talking breakfast, lunches, extra milks, all that sort of stuff over a date range. The a la carte items served, you have the same thing. So we've got meals served, we've got a la carte items served over a date range. This is kind of how you can keep up with your inventory. The a la carte detail allows you to quickly check the names of students who purchased a la carte items in the selected range. Your reimbursables, this report breaks down the number of free, reduced, and full paying meals served for reporting to the State Department of Education at the end of each month and includes totals for state and federal reimbursement amounts. I think we looked at this one earlier, but Cheryl, did you have anything to add with this one?
I would go pick it from the beginning of the month to the end of the month, and then that way you will get that for the reimbursables.
Okay, so you run the report monthly.
Yep. Monthly, yep. So that one. And can you go back to the summary one quick?
I think this one.
Can you do live?
Yeah.
Sorry, really quick. I think that's an important one. My battery's on my computer about to die. So if I'm gone, you'll know. Office.
So lunch reports.
I go to summary.
Okay.
It goes show payments only. This is what I used every single day when I went to the bank. So I would, and so I would want, I'm sorry, I can't see. To make sure my cash. Show payments only preview. Maybe we've done a lot of data in here today. Down at the bottom, you can see my cash and my checks to match up. And that's what should show up and match my deposit. So that's what's important to me, this one.
Gotcha.
Every day. Yeah.
Gotcha. So lunch reports summary. So you'd run this whenever you're making a deposit into your school's lunch account. I'm assuming here. So you run that date range for, so let's say you ran it last Friday. All right. So I can come up here and maybe we can start with last Saturday or whatever up to the current.
So whenever you make your deposit, so you want that to match your deposits for the day. Yep.
That makes sense. Awesome. Yeah, these the report section kind of jumps a little bit. So the lunch status report, I think these are the free and reduced statuses that we talked about. You can view a list of students who are approved for free or reduced meals within a specified date range. This report provides detailed information, including the reason for the determinations, such as income or direct certification. So you can easily print or export the reports for future use, making it convenient for record keeping and further analysis. We talked a little bit about this report. The benefit issuance list gives you that list of students who are approved for free or reduced meals within a specified date range. And it includes the meal status, the status approval date, and the description of the determination made, which can be helpful. And then that missing application check allows you to find the students after that 30-day period who are ready to be moved from, maybe their free and reduced status from the beginning of the year to a paying status. So it's just noting the kids or the families that have not submitted an application. So if they need to submit one for the current year, they're going to do so because they're going to start having to pay for lunch. Another helpful or a couple helpful reports, the random 3% and the air prone 3%. Cheryl and I were talking about these two reports at the beginning of the year. You need to generate a list of kids that have applied for free and reduced benefits to verify their income. This pulls those randomly from your site, gives you a list, so then you can request check stubs or whatever it is that you need to verify that their payments that their status is legit. Viewing account balances, you got your balance sheet, which allows you to create a report of all students and accounts. If they have a minimum balance, I would use this report if I wanted to see everybody that was negative. You could enter a 0 in there and it shows up all your non-zero accounts, for example. Your low balance notices report, this allows you to send those low balances to families. If you're not using JMC Family, the JMC Family automates that whole process. So that's, not necessary as much anymore, especially if you have your families configure their alert settings. This is that summary that Cheryl was talking about there, dealing with money. The last payments detail, also dealing with money. It's the latest payments made on a family lunch account within a specified date range. So like I said, we already took a live look, but if there are any questions on any reports, please feel free to ask those. Otherwise, I just encourage you to check out those reports after you get some live data into your system to see what all they have to offer. And with that, let's hit up some news and upcoming events, JMC style. We finish out July with Nebraska State reporting and Minnesota State reporting. July and August are going to be heavy state reporting months for us on the webinar side of things. So folks that are interested in learning how data needs to be entered into JMC so that it can be properly submitted to your state organizations, please find your appropriate state and register for a roundup. Check out what's new in state reporting in each of these states as well. If you are at our summer conference, you got a chance to meet Joe Beckman or see Joe Beckman. Great dude. We're running a promotion with him for our community messenger. If you're interested in the community messenger, reach out to sales@jmcinc.com and you can potentially win your school a strategy sesh with Joe Beckman and somebody that is in JMC to show you how you can promote human connection through JMC's community messenger. Coming to a phone near you, we have summer check-in calls. Our client services specialists are going to be contacting your school sometime at the start of August, just to check in to see how things are going, if anybody needs any training or anything like that. So be on the lookout for those. As I mentioned before, if you are interested in state reporting, we've got info-packed sessions available on YouTube and also live coming up for Nebraska state reporting, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, talking to MCCC reporting in Minnesota, advisor reporting in Nebraska. So all sorts of stuff coming up next month. We got you covered. And we also have our YouTube playlists that are full of state reporting information as well. So check that out. If you've got new staff, new office users, in general, we know this is the time of year that a lot of schools are onboarding new employees. We're busy training new employees to JMC. Learn how to get your new staff up to speed in JMC Office and JMC Teacher through 6+ resources, including our comprehensive new user series on YouTube. So valuable, it's worth a live look, I think. This is on our YouTube channel. If you go to our JMC training site, new user series playlist, we've got a full playlist that includes all of the videos any new user would need. So this is your first stop if you need to onboard new teachers, welcoming new users to JMC Office. Being a new customer, I have not seen access to the lunch program. How do I get this access? So Karen, I'm going to have you, since you're with a new school, I'm going to have you reach out through Basecamp to one of our new school onboarding specialists, and they'll be able to get you the proper permissions to log into the lunch site. So reach out through Basecamp, we'll get you hooked up, Karen. And that concludes this webinar. Thank you for joining us. Cheryl, thank you for joining us and providing your wisdom and expertise. Thank you, Deb, for also chiming in and providing your expertise. Much appreciated. We'll be reaching out for everybody in here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for choosing JMC, and we'll catch you on the flip side.